G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website and YouTube channel Kangaroo Court of Australia. Now, I've just published an article on opposition leader Sussan Ley and her position as leader, which is fairly untenable, and the problem she's going to have continuing as leader. And on the same day I published that article, the Sydney Morning Herald published a survey that showed that Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and the Labor Party had increased their lead over the opposition, which will put even more pressure on Sussan Ley and the opposition. Now, I'll read out that article and I'll also play two videos, one from Sky News and one from Channel 9. I don't normally play their videos, but I'll play them, and that helps support the story. Now, I published the article on Sunday, the 17th of August 2025, and it's titled "Knives Are Already Out for Leader of the Opposition, Sussan Ley." And it starts off, Sussan Ley has only been the leader of the opposition for just on 3 months, but already the Murdoch media and people in the Liberal National Party coalition are openly calling for her to go and or undermining her. Very few expect Sussan Ley to lead the opposition to the next election, which is due in 2028, but she might even be lucky to last until the end of this year. I originally started writing an article about how Sussan Ley is an asset for the Labor Party because every time she's on TV, she turns off voters the same as Peter Dutton did. But after a quick bit of research, it is obvious the knives are already out for Sussan Ley and her days as leader are numbered, so she really is a non-issue. I did a search on YouTube for Sussan Ley, and the second top video, as I'll show you in a minute, was Sky News propagandist Andrew Bolt, who always pushes Murdoch's lies, calling for Ley to be replaced by Andrew Hastie. Hastie is also in the video talking about his leadership aspirations, which isn't showing any loyalty to Sussan Ley, and is Hastie positioning himself for a tilt at the leadership at some point. Now, I'll play the Sky News video now, and it was published on the 11th of August 2025.
Where was the opposition leader Sussan Ley? I mean, she put out a press statement, did appear on 2GB, but apart from that, I haven't seen her. I mean, this would have been big. I would have thought it deserved a press conference. Stephen, what's this? Why?
No, look, I was surprised. No, look, I was surprised that this is, when you're responding to the Prime Minister's statement, you would normally expect the Leader of the Opposition. I mean, she does herself have a colourful past on this issue. She was part of the Friends of Palestine in not that long ago, but I don't hear a ferocious criticism of her for that. She says she's entitled to change her mind. But I think you make a very fair point. I mean, they sent the defence spokesperson, and I think I saw Michaela Cash up. But Sussan Ley should have fronted up and had a discussion about this. I have no problem with
those two,
having
Stephen.
An alternate point of view.
Yeah, look, it was also Andrew Hastie. Andrew Hastie appeared, I think, on Sky News. Andrew Hastie, the opposition's Home Affairs spokesman.
Andrew, let's cut to the chase. Sussan Ley is a dud. She may be a nice woman, but she has none of the inner mongrel you need to be a leader like Keating or Howard. They ought to cut to the chase and draft Hastie straight away.
Well, I think you make a point there. Look, I've said give her time, but I have to say that for Andrew Hastie and Angus Taylor and all that to go front and centre when it's not actually their portfolio area. Hastie, even yesterday, the Home Affairs spokesman, went on Sky News again and both urged the Liberals to dump the net zero climate policies and said he'd like to be the Liberal leader sometime. Here's his double whammy.
Should we transfer our heavy industry, Australian jobs, offshore? Should we demand that the Australian people pay more for their power bills? I'm not going to lie to you and say I don't have any ambition to lead. Of course I do. But timing in politics is everything. And right now, Sussan Ley is our leader.
But right now, Sussan Ley is their leader, Stephen. Right now isn't a very long period of time, is it?
Well, the next second is not right now. Yeah, exactly. Look, I'm a great admirer of Andrew. I think he's done incredible things for this country. He's got courage and moral clarity. And I think one day he may be a fantastic leader for the Liberal Party, and one day might not be that far away. But in terms of his arguments around net zero energy prices, if he wants to lead the Liberal Party into the sort of oblivion that they're currently in and champion that oblivion. Look, I hope he's smarter than that. You pitch to the right and then you move to the centre. You pitch to the left and you move to the centre. These are the normal part of Australian politics because you have to govern from the centre. Our electoral system ensures we're not captured by the two extremes that you see in other countries around the world. So, look, I hope Andrew's ambitions are one day fulfilled. As I said, I have great admiration for him, but I think he's running off on the wrong track on some of those policy issues that he's championing.
Oh, I think net zero is going to really, really come to hurt this country.
How high do electricity prices have to get?
The Labor Party, but it'll be a question of time. Sorry, Michael.
How high do electricity prices have to get before we change at least along the lines of the British Labor Party? That's not too extreme. They've dropped net zero.
It's Margot Smelter now under pressure, saying that it's probably going to
I'm not sure.
Guys, I'm out of time.
I'm not sure a fully government-funded $600 billion.
Sorry, Michael. Yeah, Michael Danby, Stephen Conroy, thank you very much for your time.
A couple of days later, on the 14th of August 2025, Sussan Ley did an interview with Andrew Bolt after being attacked by Bolt on Monday the 11th of August 2025. Bolt was polite at the start, but went on the attack towards the end. And I put a link to that video in my article, so you can watch that if you want to, but I won't play that now. I don't watch Sky News because it is straight out Murdoch propaganda, but both the Sussan Ley videos showed up near the top of a search on YouTube for Ley. Sussan Ley is the leader of the opposition, but feels she needs to jump when told and grovel to Murdoch propagandist Andrew Bolt, which shows who has the real power when it comes to the Liberal National Party federal coalition. Given the coalition lost so many seats, Rupert Murdoch, Lachlan Murdoch and their News Corp media failed to have an impact at the last federal election. So why does Sussan Ley feel a need to grovel to them? It is arguable that the Murdoch media cost the Liberal National Party coalition votes at the last federal election with the continued publication of lies masquerading as news. Murdoch's News Corp published their financial results a week ago. The Sydney Morning Herald published an article titled News Corp's Local Papers Bleed Subscribers, Compounding Revenue Struggles, which is consistent with the coalition losing votes at the May 2025 federal election. Sussan Ley's history of financial fraud with government expenses, which I wrote about in May in an article titled Liberal Party Leader, Sussan Ley's expenses fraud, an issue worse than Peter Dutton, should have ruled her out of any key leadership position, and the fact that she is the leader shows how desperate the coalition are. Sussan Ley, an asset for the Labor Party. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and his government are already starting to resemble the Julia Gillard, Kevin Rudd second term, which ended the Labor government in 2013. The positive for Albanese and Labor is the Liberal National Party opposition leader Sussan Ley comes across as being way out of her depth, and every time she is on TV it aids Labor, not the opposition. This week Sussan Ley was on the news attacking Prime Minister Anthony Albanese over Palestine, as per the video I'm about to show you. Not only did Ley come across very poorly, Channel 9 also had quotes from former coalition Prime Ministers Scott Morrison and Tony Abbott, who are two people Ley should be trying to distance herself from, but maybe 9 thought Ley was not credible by herself. And I'll play the Channel 9 video now.
Rewarding terrorists. That's how opposition leader Sussan Ley has described the PM's push to recognise a Palestinian state and determine its leadership. The government's decision is under major scrutiny tonight, with the coalition vowing to reverse it if elected in 3 years' time.
In a hard hat, the hard sell of Australia's position on Palestine.
And the international community is saying enough is enough, we need to move forward.
This is a serious and dangerous mistake, Israel's president said, that will not help. Australia, its allies and the Arab League insist Hamas can have no role. The Palestinian Action Group here insist it's not our call.
How plausible is that?
I don't think it's very plausible, but the key issue here is that Western states can't be determining who is in governance in Palestine.
Of course there is something we can do. We can stop them standing, let alone be elected.
I think we run the very real risk of repeating the mistakes of Iraq and Afghanistan.
To recognise unilaterally a Palestinian state does one thing for the terrorists. It rewards them and it emboldens them.
The coalition vowing to undo the decision.
For this government to take this action, offends every fair-thinking, decent Australian.
Sentiment shared by her predecessors. The only winner is Hamas, said Scott Morrison in a statement. I know this is not their intention, but it is the result. The caravan of appeasement is not one we should join. On Twitter, Tony Abbott said recognition of Palestine should be a reward for good behaviour, not bad. Having now made the announcement, Australia is relying on the Arab League in particular to help force Hamas from power in Gaza.
Oh, look, there are people who want to think that it's like a football game between, you know, South and the Broncos, and you've got to back in your team and you've got to back them in. What we need is a win-win.
In an area that's seen so many losses. Charles Croucher, 9 News.
It should also be said that Channel 9, quoting Scott Morrison and Tony Abbott, does damage to Nine's credibility. The longer Sussan Ley is leader of the opposition, the more the minor parties and independents become the real opposition, holding the government to account. The problem for the coalition is their number one candidate to replace Sussan Ley is probably Andrew Hastie, who might be a better communicator than Ley, but that is about it. Hastie's public comments and policy positions make it clear he is in the pocket of the big political donors, such as Gina Rinehart and the Murdochs, which has led the coalition spiral to the bottom. And they will continue to spiral downwards if they stay in the donors' pockets. Now, obviously, the coalition have a lot bigger problems than just Sussan Ley because they got no one really to replace her, and no one wants it. It's a poison chalice. Andrew Hastie is positioning himself to have a crack at it, but he's not making any real moves, but he's still undermining Sussan Ley by saying what he's saying publicly. But then you got the National Party totally undermining her as well. And I think most people are predicting at least another couple of elections before the Liberal Party have any chance of winning, and that's if they ever have a chance of winning again. Because the coalition mightn't hold up with the National Party, one, and two, well, they might never make enough ground back up. Make sure you visit my website, Kangaroo Court of Australia, and click on that article. It's got a lot of links to further information. And please do your bit and help shine a light on corruption and share this video on social media. In Kangaroo Court of Australia's independent media, I publish a website and a YouTube channel, and I'm 100% crowdfunded from viewers like yourself, so please make a donation via PayPal or Patreon. The links are below this video on YouTube and also on my website, or you can visit my website and click on the donations page for other donation options. And please hit the like and subscribe button and notification button. That way you get notified every time I publish a new video. Other than that, thank you for your time and have a good day.